Mining can be a pretty fun way of earning some credits in Star Citizen, a detailed non-combat gameplay loop and relatively accessible with the purchase price of the Prospector in-game. But with all of the salvaging of late, it's something that's not really featured recently here on the channel, and so why not rectify that with a little mining expedition? I'm Forrester, and this gameplay video shows about an hour's worth of mining gameplay in the Prospector, albeit with some parts sped up to keep the overall length of this video down. The sped up parts are clearly marked as such. The goal of this trip was very simply to take the Prospector out for an hour or so, get a couple of jobs going at the refinery, and see what they're worth. So let's get started. And we'll start by spawning in the Prospector from the refinery station. Straight to Hangar 4. So I've immediately started to speed up this footage. That's just to try and reduce the amount of kind of travel stuff that you're watching, but I did just want to show you this really cool skin for the Prospector. This was something that came up in the 12 Days of Christmas Luminalia event in 2023. I think it's a pretty cool skin, blue and white, and actually fits in perfectly with the colours of my org, so I thought I'd just show you that whilst the doors were opening. Then it's a quantum hop and I'm heading across to Microtech for this mining run. I was at Mike L1 doing some salvage earlier, so Microtech is fairly nearby even without thinking about having to upgrade the quantum drive on the Prospector. And then across to Calliope for some mining. Once I arrived here, I'm just preparing my route home in case I need to escape, and then heading down to a random part of the planet far off the beaten path, and that's just to make sure that I don't run into anybody while I'm out peacefully mining. Scanning away and checking the rocks, flew past that one because it was 100% inert materials. This does seem like it's something that's a little bit more common now, where you'll find something and it's just not even worth investigating, so just moving on when that happens. Here we are, back down to normal, regular, 1x speed, as I found the first rock here. And it is filled with Bexolite. That is good news for somebody looking to sell some materials. Now it does say on the right hand side, impossible, but always one for a challenge. We'll give it a go anyway. This is around the sort of mass where it's feasible with a little bit of luck and a bit of a strong wind behind you to potentially be able to break it with a Prospector, and certainly the fact that the charge level is rising and consistently rising is giving me pause to think, actually, this could be alright. So we are steadily rising. I'm looking at the charge level on the right hand side here, and basically the name of the game with mining, if you're not familiar with it or if you've not done it for a while, is get the charge level into the green and you get a new little progress bar on that green section, which once it's at full will break down the rock so you can gobble it up. I should also add, on the bottom left you can see the mining laser I've got equipped is the Klein S1, which is not the stock mining laser. Chose the Klein because you do get a bit more instability, but it significantly reduces the resistance of what you're fighting and gives you a little bit more of a generous window size. Now in the future I will speed up these kind of mining elements, but I just wanted to show what it looks like from start to finish at a 1x speed. I'm up the optimal range and I'm just feathering the intensity to try and keep the rock in that green optimal section. Although this was an impossible rock according to the UI, actually this has been pretty much the perfect kind of rock for this Prospector. Now that it's broken, all of the parts change to purple, which means that they can be extracted, and then I'm just scanning through them to find the best rocks. I'm looking for the highest possible bexolite concentration, since bexolite sells for more. If you are at all interested in mining and you're not sure about, which rocks to go for and where the different places are, I'd highly recommend Red Monster Gaming, either here on YouTube or some resources on the internet site. Red Monster Gaming is a fantastic resource for anybody interested in mining. It will tell you everything you could possibly want to know. Or of course, you could watch me overcharge a rock for a great example of how not to do it. I gotta say, for me that's the downside of mining now, where there is a minimum laser intensity. Historically, I would always just feather back the mining power, potentially even to 0%, and obviously with these changes that's not possible. Now that's a good change because it makes it a little bit more involved, it makes you got to think a little bit more, plan a little bit more, but equally it's a lot less forgiving than it used to be. So I'll speed up to 12 times here as I just break the last of these rocks and scoop up the glorious bexolite. You can see on the bottom right of the UI what the different breakdown of what's in the cargo hold of the Prospector is between bexolite and quartz. The quartz is significantly less valuable, but that's part and parcel of mining. You don't always get all the good stuff, so I'm just maximizing that, prioritizing it as best I can, get as much bexolite. Here we are, as this piece goes in, you see cargo full on the right hand side, which means it's time to head away. So 32 SCUs of potential cargo on the Prospector. In reality, depending on the refining method you use, that's just shy of 32 SCUs for a full refinery load. You could be mid to high 20 SCUs. But you can usually get a feel for that once you get to the refinery. So then, setting the route for Mike L1, we'll go back to the refinery that we started at, and then hopping into the quantum travel. There we are, and then to respect your time, back to times 12 speed for the quantum hop. So all in all, that first trip, there was a little bit of time in terms of getting there, in terms of getting to the surface of the moon, and then finding a suitable rock. I think that rock was quite early on. It was the second or third rock that we found, but it wasn't the first rock. And then breaking it up into smaller chunks and hoovering it up. So a little bit of time taken for that. But all in all, that's kind of the base of the gameplay loop, as it were. It was quite a fun, relaxing trip. So we'll get this into the refinery and then we'll head out again. So there you are, you saw 24 SCUs of bexolite became 20 SCUs with the Dinix solvenation, which is my kind of preferred method. Still very valuable. So back out into the Prospector again. Didn't even store it, left it in the hangar, went straight back to the hangar, and then we'll head back to Microtech. And then back to Calliope, and there's a nice little external view of the Prospector doing its thing. Love that livery. Blue and white. Although you will see it's a little bit scuffed, it needs some repairs. That does tend to happen when I'm out and about mining. A little bit of cosmetic damage perhaps. Just enjoying the majesty of Star Citizen with this music. Wonderful. So same thing again. straight down to the planet's surface, or the moon's surface I should say, scanning away, looking at the rocks, and I'm off the beaten track. I've not gone to a quantum marker here, I've just flown down to the surface, way away from anything. And here's a nice little group of rocks. Quick scan of each one, see what's in them. And if you are wanting to go out and do this, I know I mentioned earlier Red Monster SC. Red Monster's got some fantastic mining cheat sheets, which are incredibly helpful if you're looking to find out actually, you know, is this worth me grabbing, is it not? And I certainly know that Terranite is worth getting. And this is quite a tough rock because even at 15% laser intensity, it was overcharging a little bit, so sometimes the smaller rocks are harder to do than the bigger rocks. That's how it goes. If you've not been out mining for a while, and especially if you're taking out a prospector rather than a mole, you will sometimes find things that you can't break anymore. Historically, even the stuff that was kind of designed for the mole, you could kind of break with the prospector. That's not the case these days, so sometimes you'll find something that is incredible. I think while I was out on this one, I found 48,000 mass rock that was half of it was gold, which would have been an absolute dream, I think, if you were in a mole. And the prospector, I just had to leave it be and say, sorry, not this time. So here, just trying to break down this next rock. About a third of it is gold, so hoping for a good break so that I can grab some of that gold. In terms of the big three that I like, it's Terranite, gold, and Bexolite. Those are the ones that I'm going for. Contanium I can be tempted by if I find a really good rock that I think I can fill up, but obviously when you're mining Contanium, you've got that timer to contend with, which for the regular materials like this you don't have to worry about, so you can just float around looking for stuff that you want to mine and then moving on if you don't find something. And you can see here with the instability on this rock and that tiny thin sliver of optimal charge, it was a tough rock to break, so I thought I'd show that one in 1x speed, but still doable. Haven't broken the prospector yet. And then just scanning each of the rocks to find the ones that have the highest gold content. So like many people, I've been doing a lot of salvage lately, and mining has taken a back burner. It was really enjoyable actually to go out and do some mining. Although you could argue that they're both kind of like point and click, the mining is definitely a more involved gameplay loop in terms of managing your power a lot more. With the salvage, for the most part, it's just kind of scooping up stuff and albeit you've got the new breaking stuff now, and then going to sell the boxes. For the mining, it's a lot more actively managed, I think, than perhaps the salvaging. Both of them, I think, have their place, by the way. Yeah, there's another one, 40,000 mass. 28 of that is gold. Give it a quick try, why not? Just make sure. Yeah, there's no way. No way. But 145 SU when almost a third of that is solid gold, that's a valuable rock. So if you were there with a mole, you'd have been quite pleased with the chance at that, I think. So when I'm out mining like this, my mindset is very much fill up with as valuable stuff as you can. So that really high value gold, taronite, bexolite, but not at the expense of searching for too long for the perfect rock. So the other materials, they're really not worth much, but I would rather get something in the cargo hold and get back sooner, especially if it's mostly good stuff, than kind of roam around for a long time trying to find the perfect rock. I'm comfortable just to fill up. And especially at this point when I've got 20 SCUs in there, even if I found the perfect rock, I might not even have space for it all aboard. So just going to break things up, fill up the last of the prospector, and then head back to refine it. I would say the advantage of being a little bit less picky and choosy is I would expect to do between 2 and 3 refinery jobs in an hour. So if I'm doing it this way, I can probably get 2 or 3 hops in an hour's worth of time. And I like, in Star Citizen, I like to kind of chop up my time into 1 hour or 2 hour sessions. That seems like a good length of time. As I try and break through this next rock and it flings into the red overcharge. This can happen. So all that's in here is agricium corundum. Agricium is not hugely valuable. I mean, it's not awful. It's still a decent chunk of money, but it's not as valuable as some of the others. But I'm just trying to fill up the prospector at this point. I've got the stuff that I think is the most valuable that I'm going to get in terms of that taronite, that gold. It's about 1/3 of the prospector. So the rest I'm just trying to fill up with stuff that will sell for a decent chunk. Just so I can get back and get the refinery job queued. One of the other things that I should have said about mining is the colours are quite satisfying in terms of the colours of the lasers, and something just nice that feels bright about it all. Storage full, so we'll head back. So I used to loathe any amount of inert materials back when I was mining before. I do have 2.5 SCUs of inert materials in here, and clearly that is wasted capacity. It could be more kind of sellable goods, but I'm a bit more comfortable with it now, just I think because of the big disparity between what things are worth when you take them to sell them, that, a small amount of inert materials is probably worth it if it means you're filling up with the good stuff. Not that this run is, of course, but I guess that's kind of conditioned me to be a bit more accepting of it. So we'll head back to MISC 1 Refinery. And obviously speed up the footage so you don't sit and watch quantum travel for too long. So each of the refineries does have small buffs to different types of processing. MISC 1 is not necessarily the best choice for the things that I'm doing, but it's where my stuff is, which makes it the de facto best choice because I've got a cargo ship here already kind of sat waiting to be able to take these materials. So once the refinery job is done, I'm ready to go, sort of thing. Plus it's near to Microtech, which is one of my favourite planets in Stanton. There you go, nice gentle landing to see. I just wanted to show that there was some kind of modest cost for refuel and repair, about 500 UEC, so it's not totally kind of risk-free or cost-free, but the costs are just nothing compared to what you'll get from selling the goods. As I try once again to repair and refuel. And I suppose there is something quite satisfying about doing the repairs and having a cosmetically clean prospector again. None of those holes that you saw before. So I have been meaning to get some more mining back on the channel again. It used to be something that featured here quite regularly. I think salvage has understandably taken the place of a lot of that. If you'd like to see more mining, please let me know in the comments. It's really helpful to know what you're enjoying watching more of. Equally, if you'd like to see some group mining, like maybe with a mole or a couple of prospectors, let me know in the comments and I'll see what I can do. Equally, if you don't want to see that at all, you can say that fine. I've got no problem with getting your honest thoughts and honest feedback about what you want to watch and what you don't want to watch. So this time, the one difference is that I am going to store the ship. That's because I know that I'm done with my mining for the day. So by storing the ship, I know there's going to be no hidden surprises or anything like that as I make my way down to the refinery deck. Need some elevator hold music there, really. I really like these refinery decks. I remember when they were first added, then just visually the aesthetic of that kind of molten rock coming down through those big tumblers is really cool. So back to the refinery, we'll select the prospector, set up the work order. Got a load of other random stuff here. I'll use the Dinex Solvenation again, not in any particular rush. And it's about 5,000 UEC to set that up. So that's the two work orders ready. The longest of those will be 30 hours to run. So that will take a bit of time. But the beauty of editing these videos is that I can set a little bit of magic to come back after the jobs are done. Although you could just sit and watch them if you wanted to sit for 30 hours. But so here we are, editing magic, the jobs are done. So I'm going to put these two on my C1 Spirit. Done a lot of flying in the C1 of late, quite enjoying it. One of the nice things about that 64 SCU of storage is it very neatly fits 2 Prospector worth of jobs. And as I open the door into the C1 Spirit, there you are. 2 Prospectors worth. So heading up to sell these, we'll select the C1 Spirit and then sell each of them in turn. Some of these quite nice amounts of money, so 30k for that Taronite, not bad at all. And obviously this is happening after the mining trip. 43k of gold, so this is the next day or the next couple of days. That's the one downside with the refinery mechanics, especially if you use a longer method like I prefer to. It can take a little bit longer to actually be able to get your hands on that cash. But that's fine. I was in no rush with this. Here we go, the Bexelite, the good stuff. 164k of Bexelite. Delicious. And the last one, the Agricium, another 12k. So all in all, that was 258.4 thousand Alpha UEC for less than an hour's worth of mining. So I hope you enjoyed this gameplay video. If you did, pressing that like button will let me know I should make more like this. And if you're not yet subscribed to the channel, given that you got this far, you probably want to do that too, so that YouTube will know to show you more videos like this in future. But otherwise, and as always, thank you for watching.